Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, my name is Sam Agwam. I work with Volunteer Lawyers Project. We are here today for part of our virtual elder law series. Today, June 11th, we're talking about senior scams and fraud, and we have our wonderful presenter, Nicole Lent-Pollard. So just a reminder of what we're doing here today. This is a three-part series. Last week, some of you may have joined our guardianship presentation. And today we are going to be doing the scams and fraud. For where we're from, Legal Volunteer Lawyers Project, we are a legal information, assistance, and representation organization for civil legal matters for the most part for low-income individuals and families across central New York. We're able to do what we do for our staff and our volunteer professionals, like our presenter today, Nicole. And we have a lot of support from paralegals and law students to help us do the work that we do. Like I said, last week we had guardianship presentation. Today we have senior scams and fraud, and then hopefully you're able to join us if you'd like. Next week on Tuesday, June 17th, we will have a presentation on planning ahead and thinking about legal and healthcare thoughts for your future. Um, as a reminder, though, this will all be recorded, including today's session. So if you missed last week for guardianship, you can still find it on our website. And today's will be recorded, our presentation. They usually, our wonderful colleague Bethany Hemingway tends to get these on our website very quickly. And if you had to come out of this session a little early, or you know somebody who had to miss it, please let them know of this resource. They can find it there anytime to see the recording. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead into Scams and Fraud, again presented by Nicole, who is a VP, Vice President and Fraud Risk Manager at MBT Bank. We are so pleased to actually have Nicole back. She has presented with VLP in the past, and on this important topic, scams and fraud. Her presentations are always insightful and grounded in her professional experience as a fraud risk manager. And today we're hoping that Nicole, she shares with us some common scams and fraud schemes that we kind of encounter, especially in New York. Some that might be lingering from the past that we may have heard of already, and then maybe some that have evolved or some new things to keep a lookout. So we are very interested in learning how to better protect ourselves and our communities from these unfortunately evolving threats. So with that, I'd like to introduce and welcome Nicole. We're so glad to have you back.
Thank you, Sam. I'm just
Absolutely. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
perfect. Let
There
me
you
get
are.
mine up here so we can get started.
Great.
All right. Can you see the nice big presentation
Yes.
pictures? All right, let's get started. So as Sam said, my name is Nicole Lent-Pollard. I'm here to talk to you today about one of my topics that I am so passionate about and more passionate about preventing these type of scams from happening to you and your loved ones. But we're going to talk about elder fraud today. Some of our different objectives that we're going to go through as we discuss these is that we really want to talk through recognizing these risks to be able to reduce fraud from happening, how to guard yourself against identity theft. We'll talk about some common scams like Sam had mentioned, or maybe some things that we're seeing have shifted, maybe scams you've heard of and some different twists to them, and then some appropriate actions and next steps for victims if you do become a victim. So first of all, let's talk through who is at risk for elder theft and elder scams. So we have an age that we consider to be considered for elder financial exploitation or elder scams, and that age is 60 years old. Now, age is just a number. There just has to be a cutoff for a time period that we could be reporting that to law enforcement, adult protective services. So 60 is what that cutoff is. But anyone can be a victim. So it doesn't matter social, educational, economic, any of those boundaries, it crosses all of them. So scams are out there, they're available for everybody. Unfortunately, anyone can be targeted. Why are older adults at risk? And again, talking about individuals, maybe 60 and older here, there's some different things that really pinpoint what these fraudsters are looking for. They may have a regular income and accumulated assets. they're trusting and polite. They may be lonely or socially isolated, be vulnerable due to a grief from a loss, or reluctant to report any exploitation by family members, caregivers, or someone they depend on because they need those services or transportation from someone that they're depending on. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of those items. So why, if all of this is happening, why aren't people reporting it? The reason that people don't report these things is that the shame and embarrassment. If this is somebody that you know and trust, or you feel just embarrassed that this has happened to you, that people are going to think that you cannot be in control of your finances, that you don't have your wits about you, that you aren't a responsible adult anymore, that's one reason. Could be loyalty to that family member, right? A lot of times we can see that this is somebody that our individual who's an older adult knows, trusts, loves, and that can be really, really difficult to report against them, right? Imagine going to the police station to turn in your child to say that they've been taking advantage of you. They also might be trying to convince you that this is a duty that you need to provide to them because they are providing services or transportation to you. So it would just be nice for you to provide some financial support to them or give them payment for this. Older adults might fear the retaliation of not being believed. So that can be difficult too. Imagine in that situation that you are considering going and making a report to local law enforcement and that you get there. And what if somebody doesn't believe you? What if they see that you are somebody who is maybe vulnerable and you don't know what's going on? There could be that dependence on the abuser. We've talked about that just briefly here in a couple different ways. It could be based on those transportation to medical appointments. They could be the ones that are going out and grabbing groceries or medication. That could be very important. If you lose that, you may lose that ability to live on your own and have to consider moving into an assisted living facility. Denial, that can be something happening too. They would never do this to me. This is not something that my family or my friends would do. Self blame, thinking that you are the reason that that's happening, that there must be something you did to deserve this, or just not really being aware of something like this happening and knowing kind of those signs to look for. So, some different things about who the abusers are. We have two different types of fraud that we want to consider here. So, we have elder theft, and that's going to be considered like elder financial exploitation. So, those ones are going to be known family members, caregivers, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, perhaps a power of attorney or a financial advisor. So, those would be people that you know. For elder scams, we consider that more of like a stranger danger category. So those are individuals you have really no affiliation with. Somebody who's calling you on the phone, who's sending you something in the mail, over the computer, people who are coming door to door. Maybe somebody you met on a website looking for a companion. So those are going to be what we consider strangers. So there's those different types of either elder theft or elder scams that we want to consider. Let's go into those a little bit more to talk through them. So some examples of elder theft. When we think about this, you might think about forged checks. Somebody has access to the checkbook, start signing your name. Maybe they're even getting you to sign your name, but it's really not a transaction you're aware of, doesn't benefit you, and you had to be coerced into signing that. Credit or debit card use or signing up for new ones. So somebody could be taking your card out of your wallet, out of your purse, going to the ATM. Maybe they tell you they're going to go to the store, they're going to use debit, so they need your PIN number, and then they stop over to the ATM or purchase some items that aren't for you. People making changes to the wills or the POA documents. So that's an important one too, because maybe you, again, are being coerced or believe into that you have to make this change or that it's the right thing to do, or somebody is guilting you into doing that. Your financial decisions should be yours alone and what's going to benefit you and where you want your funds to go. You've worked hard for those funds. You've worked hard for retirement. That should all be going to what you want it to go to. Unauthorized withdrawals, transactions through ACH payments. So with those ones, all somebody needs is that account number and routing number. If you have a checkbook, laying around, maybe you have a caretaker who's coming in, they can find that account number and routing number there and could start doing ACH payments. Other bills that just don't belong to you as the individual, right? Whose account they're coming out of. If there's some bills coming out, maybe there's multiple bills for Spectrum for internet purchases, and one of them is yours, but maybe two belong to some family members, and they're really taking advantage and using that funds coming from your account to pay their own bills. Some examples of elder scams. So this is, we talked about, this is the stranger danger, right? So these are people, calling you over the phones, telling you that it's your grandchild who's in danger and they really need help. With those types of scams, what we're seeing with those is that they'll have a couple things. They'll say they're they'll say, "Hey, Graham, it's your favorite grandchild," and you might say, "Oh, Johnny," and now they have your name. Another thing they might do to get the names of your grandchildren is they'll search the local obituaries. So if you have a spouse that recently passed away and you'll list out who the remaining members of the family are or grandchildren, now they have a name from there as well. So they may already have the name. Then they're going to kind of have some reasons why they don't sound quite like themselves, right? The goal is ultimately to get money because they're fallen into some sort of situation that they need your assistance for. And the big tell too is the don't tell mom and dad, right? Because I'm in trouble. I need money for a lawyer. I need money for the attorney. I need bail money. I got in a big accident. I'm going to go to jail. There's panic in their voice. They might say that they broke their nose in the accident and that's why they sound different. They might say that they have a cold and so that's why they sound not quite like themselves. And they're going to encourage you to send these funds. And it can be even coming from a variety of things here happening. So they'll call from the grandchild, then they'll call from the bail bondsman, they'll call from the attorney. They'll keep having you go and do little tasks. Usually they're going to ask for you to send a wire, you to go to the bank and withdraw a large amount of cash, and then mail it in a box to a specific address, and that then everything's going to be resolved. So some of the big ways to stop this scam is to call your grandchild. They're going to tell you, not to, but don't listen to that piece of it. Hang up and pick up the phone and call the grandchild. Do exactly what they told you not to do. Call the parents, right? Call your child and see if their child is okay. Make sure that they're there, and then you can report that to law enforcement when that happens. Some other ones that we've seen pretty commonly too, we just had, April has just passed, so we have the tax and debt collection scams. This is very common around that tax time of year. This actually happened to my own grandmother who was living in an assisted living, hasn't had a house for many, many years. And she actually got a phone call saying she owed back taxes for a large amount of money and had to mail those out. Now, if you stop and think about these situations when they come up to you, you'll realize that it doesn't make sense. I haven't lived in a house for how many years? Why is somebody calling me on the phone? They should be sending a letter in the mail. But sometimes that sense of urgency just really trips us up, and we're nervous about the action that could happen. So we take action and send out those funds anyway. Telemarketers, mail scams, all of those are just common ones that we see that we just continue to see happening. They're going to give you a phone call. They're going to say that they have an offer. They may tell you that they're calling from a company you even use, cell phone provider, utility, say that they didn't receive your bill. They'd like you to make a payment over the phone. They might ask for your debit card number, your account number, and routing number. The romance scams, these are a really, really tough one to combat. These come across a lot after somebody has lost a loved one, and they may turn to finding a companion online, somebody who has some things in common, somebody who's also lost somebody, that they can just have somebody to talk with every day. These are very, very emotional scams that are hard to break free from. So when you have somebody who's telling you that they love you and that they're the only ones that care about you, what they're going to do is they're going to try to isolate you from your family and friends so that they are the only source of information and reason that's coming to you. And they're going to shift the conversation and start asking for money. They'll start asking for crypto, for bill pay, for Zelle, person-to-person payments, maybe gift cards. Some of these might even be payments you've never heard of or you don't have access to. Maybe you don't even have online banking, but they're going to walk you through it, and they're going to be with you every step of the way to make sure that you can do what they're asking you to do. They may ask you to go into a branch, and they're going to stay right there on the phone with you and give you all of the guidance that you need to do these transactions that they assure you is so that you guys can be together. Charity scams we see quite frequently when national disasters or other important things come up. So you think about some big things we've had recently, in the past 6 months, we've talked about, you think about elections, those are going to be big ones. Natural disasters, like, we've got fires, we've got floods, we have hurricanes. When COVID was happening, lots of different charity scams coming up for that, right? Purchasing of, PPE equipment, of masks, of, making sure that we have clean water. All of these things really start to see things triggering for charity scams. So if you're going to donate to a charity, make sure a couple of things. One is that it's a reputable charity. Do some research, see where those funds are going to, see if there's a different charity that has a similar name, right? If there's a real charity that you've been donating to for years, now you start to get some information with something that looks similar, do some research on that. They could just be trying to have that same type of name. And the other thing, too, to be mindful of is your financial situation. You might not think it's a big deal to give $5 or $10 a month to a charity, but if you're doing this for 10 or 20 charities, it can really impact your quality of living and your financial situation each month when you're on a fixed income. So that's something else to consider as well. We talked a little bit about these grandparent scams. Sometimes we'll see the large funds try to go out the door. Like I mentioned, either a wire or cash is going to be the primary way that they're trying to get those funds out. Be on the lookout for anything that they're trying to get you to do that just feels off. So sometimes what we can see is that scammers are trying to ask individuals to come into a bank, get a large sum of money out, and go meet somebody in the parking lot and just give it to them. That is definitely not going to be any sort of legitimate situation. Do not take funds out and then go meet somebody just right outside the bank and just give them all your money. That's not going to be the safest way to send that out the door. Wires, these are guaranteed funds. So when you send a wire out of your account, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get any of those funds back. So keep that in mind and make sure it makes sense. If your grandchild was really in trouble and they needed funds for an attorney, why would it be going to an individual in an entirely different state that's not who's calling you, or not the state that they, got in trouble, got in an accident, got arrested in? So pay attention to those pieces. When talking about the IRS, another reminder here, they will send you always a written notification. Don't accept any phone calls saying that you owe funds. Always trust but verify. So you can get that information and go out and find that information yourself. Something that can happen with many different scams, including this one, is that they could spoof numbers. So if you have your caller ID, it might say that it's coming from the IRS. Fraudsters can make it say that. Don't just trust your caller ID. Don't make that make the determination that you think this is something realistic. They might use fake badge numbers. Don't take that into consideration either, that that's definitely something real. If they give you a badge number, that would be very easy to make up. Anyone can do that. You can definitely make sure that you go and verify before you send any funds. Just don't take action from any of those phone calls that are coming in right away. Take a second, take 5 minutes, hang up, and really breathe deeply, kind of think through these pieces and see if it really makes sense what somebody's asking. Going back to these romance scams, these are really devastating because I have seen these wipe out individuals' life savings. They are so convinced that these are real and that they are in love with this person and they are going to marry them and this will be the solution for all their problems, that it is incredibly difficult to break somebody from that realization. And it gets to a point where they've sent so much money that it has to be real, because otherwise it's all been for nothing. Sometimes people are just willing to pay for that companionship. We talked about in one of the beginning slides, for that loneliness or the isolation. If you're living in a home by yourself and you don't have somebody each day to be with you, if you've lost a spouse, that can be very difficult. And having somebody that you can talk to every day can assist with that. So you're willing to pay for it. Sam, did you have a question?
No, I'm good, Nicole.
Okay, sorry.
Apologies. Thank you. No, you're good.
What happens too with the romance scams, and maybe this is familiar, They assume a false identity. So a lot of times we see a couple different careers for those who are scamming people through romance scams. A lot of times out of the country, either for military and usually high-ranking military official, or working on an oil rig. Both of these careers, one of the benefits for that for a fraudster is that they're very hard to get a hold of. So if you're overseas, if you're in another country, if you're in another time zone, if you have a job that doesn't always have service, that gives them that kind of guise of protection that you can't really find out who they are. Some of those pictures that they're going to post, on their social media, on their dating apps, those you can also see that if you do a reverse Google search on them, those images could come back to somebody totally different entirely. So they've just went online and stolen somebody else's photo who might be a highly decorated military official and post that on there as their own picture. They're going to ask for money under those false pretenses. So maybe at first they kind of try out the waters and they're going to ask for just a little bit of money. And it's going to be for something that seems reasonable, right? Maybe they need to pay for the internet so that they can call you. Maybe they need a new phone that dials internationally so that they can call you. Maybe it's the military just isn't providing food for them today and you feel terrible that they're going to go hungry and they're going to have stuff that's small and then it's going to get bigger. Then it's going to be that they're going to pay you back, that they've got money waiting. There's something in customs. They just need your help to get this and they'll get all of those funds back for you. So like I said, that gets very difficult if you start sending large amounts of money. At some point, it has to be real. Otherwise, it was all for nothing and you've lost everything. So they really, really, victims hold on to that in the hopes that it's going to be real. Some other common scams that I want to talk about here briefly. The lottery and sweepstakes scams are still going on. I know this seems crazy. Poor Publishers Clearinghouse, they get such a bad rap for these scams. People can legitimately win the lottery, but there's one main thing that has to happen for you to win the lottery. You have to play it. So you shouldn't just get a check in the mail randomly or a phone call saying you won a lottery randomly when you did not enter it. So you have to be in it to win it. So there's number one. The second thing that should be a red flag to you for a lottery or sweepstakes scam is where the check is coming from. So if you win a check for a lottery, it should be coming from New York State Lottery, whatever lottery you won, not from an individual name in a different state that really doesn't seem to have anything to do with that. If you win, they shouldn't be sending you a partial check for you to deposit into your account and then pay the taxes on it from that check. Okay, they could deduct the taxes from your lottery winnings. What they're trying to do with that, and what anyone is trying to do if they're sending you a check and want you to deposit and send funds, is they want you to deposit a bad check into your bank account, send money out before that check has a chance to clear, and then you are responsible for that bad check. So if it drew your account negative, now you owe that bank that negative balance. That's what they're trying to do there. We talked about charity scams and keeping in mind that not just the scams themselves for fake charities, but being conscientious about how many charities and how much you're donating to each month. $5, $10, $20 can add up if you're doing multiple charities. And the thing about those is if you keep sending money out to the charities, you're going to keep getting the requests and the information in and the stories that are going to pull on your heartstrings to try to keep donating more. So it's okay to make donations, but you need to be in control about which ones you do and how frequent and how much money, and pay attention to what your income is for each month so that you aren't putting yourself in a position that you can't pay your own bills or have food for yourself. Identity theft. This is a big one. We see this in a variety of different ways. So we can see some things with synthetic identity theft, where people are going to mash together some different information and make it look like it's a person, but really those pieces of information don't all tie back to the same person. The social security number, the date of birth, the phone number, the address, those aren't all one real person. They're kind of pulling together a few different things. We can see things happening with people taking out loans or credit cards using information. There are so many different data breaches now that it's almost impossible to find where someone could have your information from. So, one of the big things is to make sure that you never give out more information and treat your information as if it's already been compromised. So, if somebody calls me and says that they have a concern, they have an issue, they just want me to verify what my social security number is, don't do it. Right? If they need you to verify something, they should already have that information. If it's a company that you do use or like a financial institution, hang up and call the number you have for them. What they're trying to do is do some social engineering and get some additional information so they can use all of that to go start opening accounts and credit cards and trade lines in your name. Now, we do see individuals also get your information, including like your driver's license number. And what they'll do is they'll actually put their picture as the fraudster on a fake driver's license with all your information. So if they go and pretend to be you, the driver's license number matches, the name on there's your name, it's your address, but the picture is theirs so that they can portray that they're you. We do also see scams that have a component of identity theft where individuals are convinced to sign up accounts for things like cryptocurrency, being told that their funds aren't safe in the bank. Maybe it's a government official calling to let you know about an internal investigation to pull all your funds out. And they're going to set up in a new account for you. And that new account, what you need to do is you need to go to these special ATMs that you can deposit funds into for cryptocurrency. Now, those accounts need to match. So they've already set up an account for you with your information, but they're going to have you help them to bypass the security controls. And you're never going to have access to those funds because they're the ones that have the access. But one of the security controls that they need is that they need to have a selfie. So sometimes some of these organizations ask you to submit a selfie because the driver's license, right? We just talked about it. Those could be spoofed. They're going to want that picture of you that you took yourself. And the fraudsters will just ask you for that. They'll let you know that they need a selfie and send it over to them. And that can help them to finish the enrollment for the fake account that they're setting up for you that they control. So have that be a red flag too. If someone's asking you to send a selfie, they could be using it to try to identify themselves as you and set up accounts in your name. Phishing and other social engineering. So, social engineering is based on the human tendency to trust. So, this is very difficult. This can be done through phishing, which is emails, smishing, which is text messages, vishing, which is voice calls. We even have now for the QR codes, if you scan with your phone, the little squares have all the little dots in there, they call that one quishing. So these are all social engineering attempts to try to get you to provide information, insert your credentials. There's a variety of different things that people might be looking for here. Now, they can look really good. Some of these emails can look very convincing that this is a bill that you owe, a company that you use. They could have the actual, logo looks like it's good on there. And usually there's going to be a sense of urgency. If you don't click here, if you don't provide this information, we're going to shut down your debit card. We're going to shut down your account. Something, you will lose access to this site. There's some sort of threat there. So you want to take action fast. And this is where we were mentioning before. When you get a request like this, take a minute before you click anything, before you respond, before you give any information to see if it really makes sense. First of all, is this a company I use? So if I get a text message from a financial institution that I don't have any accounts with, I can already tell that that's not going to be something that's for me. And I want to delete that, block it, and report it to my cell phone provider. Report it as spam. That's really what they're trying to get you to do, is take some sort of action. So just take a breath and think about it and make sure that something is making sense. And if it does, and you are concerned, there was a big one going around a couple weeks ago about tolls. So if it made sense and you did actually go through a toll booth and owe tolls, then pay through the normal channel you normally pay from. Don't pay through the text message that was sent to you and maybe has like a URL the website is trying to direct you to, doesn't mention that it's for the tolls, right? It could be something totally different that just really doesn't make sense. So just look at everything before you click on it. A lot can happen when you click on something. So the next topic here we're going into is remote access. Sometimes phishing can be combined with remote access, and they can try to get you to click on a link that allows them to have access to whatever device you're on. This can even be your cell phone. They can ask you to download an app like an AnyDesk or teamviewer.com. There's a few different websites out there or applications that somebody might ask you to download and then put in a code, and they have control over your screen. So you'll start to see this because the mouse will move around and it won't be you that's doing it. And they can see everything that's on your device. So now if you have anything stored in there with your social security number, with your account number, any important pieces of information that is on your device, they can now see. Something else they're going to try to get you to do, and this is where we see money go out the door. Because you might ask yourself, okay, if somebody gets into my computer, how do they get my money? Here's one way that they do this. They ask you to go out to your online banking. They get in there, they put up a fake screen that looks like your online banking, and they're in your real account. And they're transferring funds back and forth. So they're transferring from your savings to your checking. And let's say they transfer $40,000. And they tell you, oh, you know what? We were helping you before with your computer and we owe you a refund. Oh my gosh, I tried to put in $400. Added too many zeros. I put $40,000. I'm going to get fired. Please, please, please go to the bank right now and wire these funds back out to me. I'm going to be in so much trouble. I have 5 kids. I need to take care of them. Please go and give this back. And you'll see in your account, if you can see that now your balance shows that 40,000 that you knew wasn't into your checking account before. And you could go into the bank and wire funds out. And it's not going to look super suspicious because the money is your own money. So that is one of the ways that they're trying to get you to get that money out the door. They also can be, if they're in your bank account online, they can see your account number, your routing number. They've got your credentials. If you've clicked on the credential harvesting link and put in your information, sometimes what that might look like is that the link will ask you to say, oh, your password expired. Please put in your old password and put in your new password. So, when you change your password and you have to put your old one and then you put your new one twice, they will come up and spin up a nice web page that looks exactly like the company that they're trying to get you to change the password for. And what they're doing is they're able to watch on the other side. So when you type in your old password, it's still your valid password because it's a fake site they put up. So they have your real password and they can now go into your digital banking and log in as you from a separate device. What they can also do is think about every application, every login that you do that has the same username and password. They can go out there and start trying it anywhere. They can try other financial institutions. They can try any other accounts. You got to make sure that you are recycling your credentials. And what I mean by that is updating them, switching your passwords from time to time, making sure they're strong passwords. Don't do things like spring 2025, okay? Because they're going to try that one. Do something that makes sense to you, but not easy to guess. They say not to do dictionary words. So make sure that you're on top of those passwords because that's going to help you too with some of these situations. If you do have remote access and you allowed it on your device, you're going to need to get your device cleaned by a professional. So you're going to want to go to your trusty repair shop for computers, somebody you know and trust that can come into your home, or you can bring the device there and actually get it cleaned to make sure that there has nothing been downloaded and everything's been removed that would be potentially malicious. So contractor and home improvement scams. It's going into the nicer weather. At least we hope so. I know it's still been raining at quite a few days. What we start to see with this is people coming door to door, especially to older adults, and offering to do repairs or like driveway, paving the driveway or putting down fresh gravel. And they're going to quote you for well under what the price would be. And because, as we talked about it, that you're trusting and polite, you may not want to turn somebody away. You think it's a young entrepreneur. Here they are trying to earn some money. Okay, we can do the $500. It's not going to be $500. They're going to keep coming at you for more money, and it's not going to be the work that you agreed upon, right? They're not a licensed contractor. Sometimes it's a very small square that they do and pour gravel in it, and this was $500, right? So be conscientious of people coming door to door. That really isn't as common now for people to come down through neighborhoods and be selling things. I know that years ago, there was a lot of door-to-door salesmen. That was kind of a common profession, not so much anymore. So don't feel guilted into if somebody is there at your house that you have to go with those services, especially if it's not something you're looking for. Even if it was something you're looking for, I would advise you to call somebody on your own that has a real company that you can go and look up. Do not let these people into your house. Do not give them your personal information or your financial information. Again, you can just shut the door and say, I'm not interested. Impersonating government officials. I talked about this briefly. We've seen this in a variety of ways where they may say that the financial institution is under investigation. They may tell you that they're calling from the FBI. They may make it very serious that somebody is out there looking for you and that they have a warrant for your arrest. Again, just hang up and call a number you know and trust, like a local police station, local law enforcement. Oh, too far. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here. Let's talk about some next steps. We talked about a lot of scams that are out there, but what do you do if this is happening to you? First step, stop communicating with the scammer. Don't feel bad about it. Block their number. Don't pick up the phone. Stop responding to them. So that's step number one. Step number two is to talk to someone you trust. If there's a family friend, if you have a child nearby, if you do have a power of attorney, talk to them about what's going on so you can see what else you can do. Then you want to tell your financial institution, especially if you sent funds. If you didn't send funds, but you have concerns for identity theft or that someone has your social security number or your account number, you'd still want to talk to them to see what you need to do next. Maybe it's putting an alert out there on your credit, on the credit bureaus. Maybe it's opening new accounts. Maybe you just need a new debit card, but they can help you with those steps. Then some other areas we might want to report the fraud to. Local law enforcement, especially if somebody is harassing you or saying that they're going to come in person to your house. I have been seeing an increase in individuals being approached at their home or being told someone's going to come to their house to pick up funds. Adult Protective Services. So this is a wonderful resource to kind of see what other options are available to you. If you are worried about the retaliation or someone not taking you to doctor's appointments or, getting groceries for you, Adult Protective Services can be a wonderful resource to see if there's any services available to you in your area. The IC3, this is also known as the Internet Crime Complaint Center. This is right through a lifeline right to the FBI, so you can report internet crimes. If you go out there, anyone can do it, ic3.gov. This has information on how to report for an elder abuse concern or any internet crimes. So they're really interested in both of those things. And then the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, that's a good resource for any identity theft. So you can put in a claim there and they can take a look for you to try to help you find, any accounts that have been opened. A couple other resources here. This is just going to tell you the ways to report to the credit bureaus. We've got the information for all three, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. If you call one, they can place a hold on all of them. And if you didn't know this already, you can get a free credit report once a year, annualcreditreport.com. I always tell people to pick a day, like your birthday, that you're not going to forget, to go and pull that. Make sure all the trade lines belong to you. If you've experienced identity theft recently, I would say to hold off on doing the credit report until it's been about 30, 45 days to make sure if anything has hit on your credit report. It takes a little while for it to go onto the credit report. So if you did just experience identity theft, don't go out there and pull it quite yet. Give it a little bit of time so that you can catch anything and then report it to each of those financial institutions, whoever that the credit was through, and dispute those transactions if you did not do them. Some additional resources that we have out here that we talked about. The Federal Trade Commission, the Do Not Call Registry, so you can put your phone number on there. The CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, FBI, the U.S. Postal Service Inspection Service, and Medicare. Some different resources for depending on what kind of situation you're in or what kind of support or help you're looking for. These are just some great phone numbers and websites to have available to you. All right. And that wraps up the presentation portion, but I want to open it up for any questions.
And you can, everybody, if you see the Q&A option on the bottom of your screen, you can enter a question there that we can look at. I did want to say, so a couple of things, Nicole, that I found really interesting. One thing that I think is like such good advice is when you're talking about, especially scams, is that just hang up and take a pause. Just
Mhm.
give yourself a minute to really think about it. Because I
Yeah.
think so much of that is the urgency. And they do that.
Mhm.
They know the right language to use, right? To kind of scare you into
Yeah.
solving it right away, right? But I
Yeah.
think that, yeah.
And we're busy people, right? You might be in the middle of something like, oh my goodness, I have to solve this now before I can go do these next things. Yeah.
Exactly. Or else it
Yeah.
could be like a more time later. But really, when you get a chance to breathe and think about it,
Mhm.
you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Right.
And I did find I had personally, my mom, I said, charity she's thinking about. I said, well, Catholic Charities here
Sure.
and Maria's great. It's a great organization, whatever.
Mhm.
And then when I saw that she had like, I got this from the Catholic Charities, I'm like, what is this company? And they're called Catholic Charities, but an organization, but it was so national, whatever,
Oh,
same name, like you had said. I never
yes.
thought about that in terms
Mhm.
of same exact name, but maybe like,
Yeah.
dropped off an LLC or added a,
Yes. Yes.
something like that. But yes, like it was, yeah, she thought she was donating to the right organization. She Googled Catholic charities in the area, it came up, but unfortunately that money was,
I know. And you're trying to do something nice for the community. So your heart is pure, you're out there and you're not thinking that somebody's going to be trying to use that to get funds from you.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
did like your also how you had mentioned it is really I can see how it can be very easy to overcommit to these
Yes.
charities,
Yes. Yes.
right?
So
Yeah.
even if they're not fraudulent, you still have to keep in
Right.
mind
So
where
that
your finances lay. And if you have that fixed income, that can still make a big impact for sure.
yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. I can see that. And I did also, I had the easy pass, like I'm sure many
Yes.
people had, and one of the things that was a trigger for me is like you said, Nicole, I hadn't
Mhm.
really used it
Mhm.
recently, but then also the website. It wasn't quite right. It had a little
Yes.
too many dashes or what it just didn't look like. So if I went to like you said, I looked up it myself. What is
Yeah.
easy pass? What's there? That's not the same
Mhm.
address, right? It's
Yeah.
not the same website. So,
And even with that one too, my husband got one a couple weeks ago, and so he was shouting to me from upstairs, like, "Do we owe a toll for Easy Pass?" And I
mhm.
said, "We haven't been anywhere, but also when we do go, we've always been taking my car. So if you got the text message, we never take your car for that. So
Right.
even just some of those things to think through it, does that even make sense? Whose car would have been through there, right? Because they're going to take a picture of the vehicle going through the tolls and have that license plate, which is going to match up to the right person's phone number. If normally they're sending a bill though, right? So they're not
Yeah.
really sending a text. So pay attention to that piece as well.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
And what's interesting with that one too is that I have an Easy Pass account, and my
Yeah.
mom, who's of a certain age, over
Yeah.
60, she
Yeah.
got a text message that said
Yeah.
that your Easy Pass needs to be paid. She doesn't even have
She doesn't
a
have an easy
an
pass.
account. Yeah,
Yeah. So then
exactly.
that's a good tip off. Like we talked about, like if it's not even a service you use, it's
Yes.
junk.
Yeah.
Block it, delete it, report it as spam.
Yeah. And the lottery ones too. If anything, if you didn't give it to it, it's
I
people coming to
know.
you say you won something randomly and you just need to confirm it. Yeah. But
No, I
it
mean
does
that
still happen.
it
Yeah.
does still happen quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So definitely good to look out for. So when sadly somebody is going through something like this. Now you're with
Mhm.
NBP Bank.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that typical for every bank? If somebody has a situation, is there a fraud, department at yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. What I would say is to, go to the branch that you use, whatever financial institution you have, the phone number for the branch or call their customer service and kind of give the synopsis of what happened and ask what to do. I know for us, NBT is considered a bank safe bank. So that's through AARP. We conduct a training every single year. And then once we get that completed, we actually get a seal that we can put on our website to show that we are a bank safe bank and we have been well versed and trained in elder financial exploitation.
Mhm.
So just be, paying attention to that too for your financial institutions. They should have some sort of education program that they're going through to be aware of these scams, and you can definitely report it to them.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great resource. I found that too when we do as an organization, we get those too, we're like,
Mhm.
yes, try your bank that you've been going through and also Adult Protective. I know you mentioned
Yeah.
them as well as a good resource. And it's interesting that Adult Protective was also mentioned last week in the guardianship issues.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it is a really important resource.
They do a lot of stuff.
They
Yeah.
do. They do a lot of
Yes.
things. So for those of you on the call or who see this training, do reach out to them when you do have situations like this.
And if they can't help you, they can probably give you someone else to go to. Hey,
Exactly.
go here with this one. Report it to these individuals.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the ones that you're saying, like where do I report to and all of that, the
Mhm.
IC3, I never have heard of that. The Internet Crime
Okay.
Complaint Center. Yeah, I
Yes.
should know that, but I have not heard of that.
It is
Like
a
what does that
wonderful.
look like? Like if you do a complaint through them, what
Mhm.
is it? What is their follow-up like? What do they do? Yeah.
So it goes directly to the FBI. So I know there's a couple different things, right? If we're a financial institution reporting a fraud situation and we're reaching out to them for some assistance to see if there's any, funds available or try to recover anything or let them know it's a fraudulent account, the FBI can have a direct line to that other financial institution to report that. But on the flip side, they also want you to put your contact information. So they have a special spot to submit a complaint for an elder abuse situation, elder exploitation situation. And then you would put your information, your name, your phone number, a brief synopsis of what happened, if any money was sent, where it was sent to, and then they'll take a look at it and see what they can do. And if they need to reach out, they've got your contact information there. So they want to know about any funds you sent or any funds that you were asked to send.
Right. And if you get like, is there, if you get these phone calls and stuff, even if
Mhm.
you haven't lost money yet, is there places to report it to or?
So it really depends what kind of call you're getting. I would say whoever is being impersonated on the calls. If it's
Yeah.
a NICEAG, call NICEAG. Let them know the phone number that called you. If it is something for the financial institution and it references the bank, tell us, send us a screenshot of that text message and we will try to get that taken down. We will try to get
Oh,
the website taken down. We'll try to get the phone number taken down, but we need that proof. So that screenshot's very important.
oh,
And we
interesting.
also want the details. Did you click on it? Did you provide any information? Did you share anything so that we know what next steps we want to take, right? You might need new accounts. We might need to freeze things. We might have to shut down the debit card. We want to take action quickly because those fraudsters are not going to wait. They're going to take action right away. They're going to try everything possible to get money out of the account as soon as possible.
Right. And that does remind me of the beginning of your presentation when you had mentioned some of the embarrassment that comes. And we actually, even as an organization full of attorneys
Mhm.
and paraprofessionals and all that, have to remind ourselves too, it's okay if you clicked on the button,
Yeah.
if you clicked on the email, please just let us know as soon as
Hmm.
possible. So we can because even ourselves as
Yeah.
professionals, as people who have
Yeah.
heard these trainings, we too have those
You, because
experiences.
you feel, how could I be so stupid? But it's not being stupid. It's because of that sense of urgency. It's because you have a million things going. You have a bunch of emails popping up and you think, oh, geez, I better take care of this right now because I have so much going on. So, really, it's just about, like we talked about, taking that breath because that quickness is what's going to get you in trouble. Responding so fast is what's going to get you in trouble with it. Just think about it for a minute before you
Yeah.
click anything, especially something you're not expecting,
Mhm.
especially something that has an attachment, especially something that references an invoice that you know nothing about paying. Don't go and say, oh, geez, I don't think I owed any invoice and click on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Well, this was very informative. Are there
Yeah.
any last words of wisdom or anything you'd like to let us know?
Oh, goodness.
There's
I
so
just would.
much.
I know there's so much, but I would just say just be vigilant out there. Be careful who you're interacting with. Do not be afraid to offend somebody if they are coming door to door. Don't think that you just have to be polite and that you owe it to them to give them any of your funds. You have worked hard for your money. You have plans for your retirement. You have it set up a way that you want to go, and nobody should take that from you.
That's great. Yeah, that's a really good reminder. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you for everybody joining as well. Again, if you missed anything, go ahead and check out our website. I'm sure it'll be posted within a matter of a couple of days. All right, thanks
Thanks,
everybody.
Sam.
Thank you.
Bye.